While researching options for getting a mini excavator, I didn't see a whole lot of documentation on this Typhon company. There's quite a bit on AGT Industrial and their QH12. There's actually quite a few of those kicking around the US right now. But for a number of reasons I'll go through, I ended up getting the Typhon. It seemed largely identical, at least to some degree. Same engine, the 13.5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton. But in any case, I thought I'd document a little bit of what I found so that way other folks would have an idea as to whether or not this is a good option for them. I picked up this Typhon Terror X. So I was researching the inexpensive Chinese excavators, or mini excavators. So this is the 1-ton, the Terror X from Typhon. The reason I purchased this particular model is because they would deliver it, and they would deliver it to the house as opposed to a loading dock, because I also looked at some other options. Overall, I like it. I did a few small things so far. I haven't even used it yet, but I did some maintenance. So I've got a battery tender set up. I've been labeling bolts and things of that nature. I changed the oil already. I went with 5W30. I did Mobil 1 synthetic. I don't know if that's the best choice, but that's what I went with. And then I rigged a few things. So I have a power light because I left this on by accident and the counter kept going. So I already have 6 hours on this unit, even though I've literally only driven it up the driveway. And then I read up, and it sounded like you really should get some cooling fans. So I have a cooling fan button that I can turn on at any time. But other than that, I mean, seems like a pretty decent unit. Runs pretty well, starts right up. And they had a lot of attachments that you could get a hold of. So I also have the hydraulic thumb, which I haven't installed yet. I got a grapple, I got an air hammer, and I also got an auger. So I went a little heavy on attachments. That was the other reason I went with the Typhon company, because they had everything on the website ready to go. It did take longer to get here. It says 2 weeks on the website. I think it took almost 2 months, but nonetheless, it's here and it seems to be running pretty well. So I'm excited to give it a shot. I'm gonna use it in a few days now. So the Typhon came with this toolbox, which I thought was nice, with some tools and an air filter of some sort. I think that's an air filter, looks like it. Some grease, came with a grease gun, and even this kind of unique fitting. There's the different kinds of ends. This one's a little bit more standard. But in any case, I thought that was nice to include some of the tools. I'll probably go get a better grease gun anyway. The one I have is pretty beat up too. This is how the Typhon arrived. I had a whole bunch of them on this flatbed. The one dicey piece is that they don't unload it. So even though I had never even started this thing or had any idea how to drive it, I had to drive it down some metal ramps. It was a bit challenging, but I was relatively comfortable, I guess I would say. And it kind of went down without too much of a hitch. I just made sure to go backwards, having the boom on the upper side to make sure it didn't roll on me. Here you can see a copy of my order. So, all said and done with all the attachments, it was delivered at about $9,500. I got some kind of $1,000 discount and some $300 coupon. I'm not sure what that was for. But in any case, for under 10 grand, you're getting an excavator that was about $7,500. I got the auger, the thumb, the air hammer. I forgot I got this mini rake thing. I want to strip out some pricker bushes. And then I also picked up this grapple. So for that kind of pricing, looking at like a John Deere, it's probably like 40 grand. So, in some ways you're rolling the dice, but on the other hand, at $10,000, you can probably get $10,000 worth of work out of this machine relatively easily. So it seemed like a fair bet. I did get a chance to take the excavator out and try it out. So I ran it for about 2.5, 3 hours. And, I was just ripping out bushes that had a lot of roots. It was actually a little bit difficult. So, it's a 1-ton machine, which is not really that large, and roots are very strong. So it did take me a while to get them out, but it was certainly better than digging them out by hand. Most of the reasons, or the biggest reasons that I bought this was for two things. One, I have some drainage channels to dig, and I think it'll work really well for that. It went through dirt, no problem. And then the other item is I have a lot of piers to put in or sonnet tubes for a future deck. So I'm hopeful that that auger works out pretty well. I don't know. We'll see. Now that I got beat up on the roots, maybe it'll be a little bit more difficult than I thought. Other thing I'm showing here is just, a snapshot from the engine. So again, it's the Briggs & Stratton engine, the XR engine, pretty standard across all these excavators or mini excavators at this point in time. And then the last thing I'll say is, look, it's not the highest quality machine. I love this label. It cracks me up every time I see it. But I've already broken the seatbelt, for example. Some of the hinges were a little bit shoddy. They suggest that you put cooling fans in them because I guess they can overheat. So, like I said, I had already done that. But, overall, I think it will be worth the money and I'll get that amount of value out of the machine. So I'm excited to, progress forward with some projects. So I will try to keep this updated and, provide any issues that I run across. And if folks have questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But I just wanted to get some documentation out for this particular brand because I just didn't see a whole lot on it, or at least it didn't come up in my searches. Best of luck.